Andy, it's another stay of the... Let's go with that. It's another stay ahead of the game podcast. Ready?
Let's go.
The strongest start to a podcast we've had.
So we're not perfect, just goes to show.
Yeah.
No matter what people might think.
And we refuse to edit our podcast, which I think is a strength.
Hang on. Right, in my naivety then, are you saying that lots of podcasters edit their podcasts?
Oh, tremendously, yeah.
Wow, didn't know that. I bet Rich Roll doesn't. His sound too natural.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, because if we've got a guest or you and I get into it, I want them to get the authentic answer.
Okay, so I understand someone like condensing it to make microcasts or whatever, or pull out some snippets for a teaser. But why else would you edit a podcast?
Trip over your words, hesitate, cut out a really boring bit in the middle.
Oh shit, we do that all the time. Do we need to start editing then?
No, I refuse. Right, what are we talking about today?
Right, ahead of the game. So this is all about our series talking about mindset and why mindset matters. So today we're going to talk about. We haven't got a drum roll, have we?
No, we've got rid of most of our sound effects and replaced them with ads. But you can have a boom.
Excellent, I like that. We're going to be talking about getting out of your comfort zone.
Getting out of your comfort zone. Okay.
So important and so difficult, but that's almost like the irony of it, really.
Obviously, you and I have both done a lot of reading about being outside your comfort zone, and the more time you spend outside your comfort zone, the bigger your comfort zone gets. I think it's fair to say. So, you can stretch your comfort zone by making things that were once alien to you more comfortable. So, for some people, that could be answering the phone. It could be putting the bins out. Really simple things. But as it progresses,
who's got a fear of that?
Well, I don't know. Someone.
Oh, okay. Is it because they're heavy or smelly?
Or bins or the person?
The bins are.
No, but I just, if you're agoraphobic, putting the bin out might be a really, really big thing for you. So you might start with opening the front door, and then you build up to get into the bin. And,
the fear pyramid, Jeff Thompson called it.
Yeah.
Start with little phobias and build up to your biggest fear. But I mean, ultimately, you can't grow, or a business owner will struggle to grow inside their comfort zone. So if they're in their comfort zone all the time, they'll struggle to achieve probably what they want to achieve. But if they spend too much time out of their comfort zone, they'll just get too much stress and anxiety. So it's like with most things, it's finding that balance. But if you are cozily wrapped up in a fluffy blanket in your comfort zone all the time, unless you don't want much, which is fine, you could be very happy earning what you earn, and you don't want to recruit, you don't want to grow, you don't want the pressure on more customers. Happy days. But if you do want to go and you've got serious ambitions and plans for your business, the truth is you have to get out of your comfort zone once in a while. And most super successful entrepreneurs, they'll get out of their comfort zone a lot and regularly.
Yeah.
But again, not all the time.
And they have techniques to manage the fact that they do that. The really successful ones. There'll be people out there that have literally just killed themselves to achieve. But there are consequences for that. Health consequences, lifestyle consequences, personal relationships, that kind of thing.
Got to learn. I bet there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there divorced multiple times and ones who have terrible health issues. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll read books by super successful entrepreneurs, and I just know half the stuff that they do, I just wouldn't do it. It is just so far out of my comfort zone. And I appreciate I need pressure and I thrive under pressure, but some stuff you're like, dealing with lawyers and multi-million-pound contracts and all, it's like, whoa, no, that's not in my plans.
And I guess as well, you have to remember when you're in the groove, that kind of period where you've deliberately taken yourself out of your comfort zone and you're probably running on adrenaline a little bit, that maybe the people around you aren't coming along for the ride. So they're doing their job, or they're doing what they, or your partner's doing whatever she does at home or he does at home. But you have to empathise with the fact that just because you're pushing yourself to somewhere that other people won't go doesn't mean they're there with you. And that's something I've yet to get close to mastering, in terms of sometimes I'm trying to do something way beyond what I would have thought I could do 2 years ago, say. And then someone, let's not blame my wife, that's not fair. We'll just say, oh, have you seen the weather forecast for the weekend? Oh, for fuck's sake. Really, really trying to...
Emma's obsessed with the weather. Do you know that Emma has 2 weather apps on her phone, which just... I just don't get it. In fact,
do the apps say the same or different?
No, because weather forecasting, no offence to any weather forecasters listening, is a load of bollocks. There's some science behind it, of course, but she's got 2 apps that, no, they don't say the same stuff. So I'm like, so which one do you choose? Oh, it says it's going to rain tomorrow, but the other app says it's going to be sunny.
I'll go with that one.
You are no better off.
I love that. If she's like the optimistic weather forecaster, she just always picks the one that says the best.
No, literally, if she's in a good mood, she'll pick the best one. If she's in a bad mood, she'll, it's going to bloody rain again. Well, not according to your other app. Oh, but this app says it's going to rain. And oh, wow. Yeah. And plus, the weather's the weather. Unless you're going to move somewhere else, fucking control the controllables.
We use AccuWeather because we're geeks.
Emma's got the Apple default one, and then the Met Office.
So Met Office would be cool, but AccuWeather is the one that aggregates all the forecasts and then
right. That's a good tip. Is that free? In fact, I don't care. It'd be worth it.
Yeah.
It's just literally every time. Not only does Emma tell me the weather forecast, probably about 5 times a day, that becomes 10 times a day because she tells me what the weather forecasts are from 2 apps.
What's the thing that you tell Emma 10 times a day that she gets annoyed about?
What's for tea?
Okay, now.
I am joking, of course. No, I'm not. I don't know, because it's quite hard, because Emma and I have been married for 15 years.
It's a miracle.
We've been in business not that long after we got married, and it's worked. I don't think it worked for many couples. It's worked for us because we have boundaries. And because as soon as you're like 9 o'clock on a Friday night, oh, did you send that invoice? Oh, did you do that record? All that kind of stuff. And for us, to be honest, it works really well, because at the end of the day, if you can't trust your wife, can you trust? And it's great, but I'm sure I get on it, because she almost learns some things by osmosis. She sees me take an interest in a subject about mindset or whatever, and I'll talk to her about it for her input, because there's no one whose input I value more. You're just a smidge below.
I was going to say, have you done something wrong recently? Because you've been very nice.
No, it's really value her opinion.
Yeah.
She keeps me on the straight and narrow. But accordingly, she'll be like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, what's this book about? And because she appreciates that, she's seen many business owners burn out, or to be honest, go bankrupt because they just weren't willing to learn.
Yeah. And
we always say this, don't we? The 6 words that will kill any business. We've always done it this way. And Emma knows that me and you, we're just always thinking, always learning.
I think for people that listen to our podcast over the last sort of 9 or 10 months, will have witnessed the transformation of Codebreak and the changes we've gone through. And that's because you and I have spent an awful lot of time outside of our comfort zone, and an awful lot of time reading alternative opinions. So neither of us will take a book and treat it as gospel, but we will read around the subject. And if we've read something that Brian Tracy is an example that we both like, and then we've read his next book, and then I moved on to the Checklist Manifesto by a different author, because it fed into that idea, but it also, some of it contradicted, and you start to build your own picture of what's right for you. But it does come with sacrifices to spend that much time outside of your comfort zone. I'll readily admit right now, as of today, I'm ready for a break. I'm like at that point where it's like, fucking it, we've done a lot, and I could just do with a lull. I'm
with you. I'm probably a couple of days behind you, but I also know, which is probably bad in itself, that if I'm in my comfort zone, or I was going to call it complacency. I'd like to think I don't get complacent too often, but if I'm comfortable, that's a dangerous place.
Yeah,
the money's coming in. Me and you are happy. We got McDonald's coming for lunch. Oh, this is good, isn't it, Joel? But
yeah, and I know that if I slapped in front of you today where I want us to be in 12 months, that would fire you up massively. And it would make everything we've achieved in the last month seem petty. But it's really important that we celebrate the wins as well. And that's such a difficult balance in business, to kind of celebrate what you've achieved when what your end goal or your future goal is so much bigger. That's a really difficult balance for any business owner.
It's very hard. I remember talking to you a few weeks ago about one of Emma, I think Emma's friend of a friend, very successful in business, wanted to make 1 million, hit 1 million. Then, of course, wanted to hit 2 million. Right, I'm not going to stop until I hit 10 million. And I think he got to 5 and then keeled over, and he's my age. Dead.
What was the point?
Yeah, and I'm not saying, you know, I want to like cry on a bicycle in the rain because I can't afford a better mode of transport. But money ain't everything. I was listening to I think it's the latest Rob Moore podcast this morning, and he's talking about what is freedom. And obviously, a lot of people think freedom is more money. And obviously, Rob's got his own point of view.
And he's got plenty of money.
Oh, so. He's got plenty of money. But you know, he admits he's seeing a therapist. He admits that he's not necessarily happier than he was when
he suffers with depression, doesn't he? So, and he's open about that. And I think, you know, one of my big goals, and this feeds into Rob Moore, is to be at peace with myself.
So have you listened to this the latest one?
No.
That's basically what his answer to what is true freedom. It's about
inner peace,
and to be honest, not giving a fuck what people say.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a silly analogy, but that's what a Buddhist monk aspires to, is inner peace. And they spend their whole life trying to find inner peace. And actually, I think you get to a point in business where you realise you can achieve the things you want to achieve on a financial level, or the type of client you've worked with, or the number of staff you have, or the car you drive, or whatever. But it makes absolutely no difference to how you feel about yourself on the inside. And I think for both you and I, lockdown certainly gave us a big wake-up call on that, in terms of, actually, sometimes the days where I'm just having a sandwich in the garden with my wife are the best days.
I mean, I said to you that, not in a sort of masochistic way, that there are parts of lockdown, once me and you had said, right, we're going to deal with this shit, we're going to sort it, we're going to come back stronger, and touch wood we have. Once we got through that sort of phase, we knew what we were going to do. I've had some of the happiest days of my life, sat with my wife, my children, dogs out in the garden, having a sandwich, enjoying the nice weather, enjoying the peace and quiet, going for a run, and there were no cars, there was no litter on the roads because people haven't been going to all the fast food places. And I thought, I've got a lot to be thankful for.
So I'll chuck something at you that I think is outside of your comfort zone.
Is it the books?
And it applies to me too. Is not thinking about work.
I've got the car map now.
But I bet there isn't a day that goes by where you have an hour of not thinking. Maybe when you're running, maybe.
Yeah, so the main reason I have to listen to music when I'm running is, and I've got those really cool bone conducting headphones, so I can run safely and listen to music. Don't understand how people run or cycle with headphones in. I'm too worried about traffic. But anyway, so I've got to have music, obviously with a decent beat if you're running. If I didn't have that music, I'd be thinking about work. But yeah, that's probably one of the rare times I switch off. But now I've got better, and we've both got better about our phones and notifications and being a slave to our phones. If I can put my phone away, I can genuinely focus on the kids. And, you know, we sit and watch Harry Potter every evening when they have their tea. Obviously, we've gone through Harry Potter's twice now, so we're doing Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So that's great. So doing The Last Crusade. So for me, to be sat with my girls watching Indiana Jones, just laughing, it's just brilliant. And I don't think about work. Yeah. But it's rare, yeah.
I mean, we had an incident yesterday, and it really chimed with me, because it kind of goes against the grain of what we're talking about here. But we spent the day yesterday with a mentor of ours, and you said to me, "Oh, could you just forward me that email from so and so?" And basically, I should have just turned around and said no, but didn't, because it just didn't. It was like just a natural conversation. But I couldn't forward you that email because I've got myself to a point where I'm disciplined enough now that when I'm concentrating on something, my emails are shut.
Could have told me no. I wouldn't have been upset.
Yeah, it just didn't even cross my mind. That's
good. That's good. Email is such a... Oh, we can do so many podcasts about productivity, but email is that... So God, it sounds like just plugging Rob Moore now, but again, his latest podcast, the one about what is freedom, he talks a lot about addictions technology. He said if you are the slave to your phone, you're in a task for a client that client's paying you for, and you're answering every email, checking every ding, every WhatsApp message, every LinkedIn message, you're not doing your client justice, and you're making yourself go crazy.
Yeah.
It is an addiction, I think.
Massively. very much heading towards the whole answer my emails at 10 and answer my emails at 4 type.
Fergus has talked about getting a flip phone, like old school.
Yeah, he wants a burner phone. Yeah, I heard
like
that.
Like a Razor. And I'm like, because most mornings I listen to Chris Evans on Virgin Radio, and I think he first went to like a 2G, whatever you call them, just a texting and call phone. But for quite some months now, he's been phone free, and he doesn't wear a watch either. So when he runs around London, his route is planned around what clocks are around, so he can see what the time is.
His career is handled through his agent, and unless he rings his agent, he's left alone.
And it seems to be, he's gone plant-based, he's done marathon stuff. He seems, because obviously he's got a bit of a wild past.
Yeah, yo-yoed with his weight.
Oh, God, yeah, big time. Because he was, when I worked at Pearl and Dean, they were owned by SMG, and at that time, SMG also owned Virgin Radio. So it's when that all kicked off about him going on a bender with his wife.
Was it Billy Piper?
Billy Piper, yeah. And they seem to be really cool, the two of them now. But he just seems to be totally at peace. And I think, yeah, the tech can, obviously it can be a wonderful thing, and it ain't tech's fault, it's you. If you're there checking email all the time, don't go blaming Microsoft Outlook.
And it's also not the fault of the people that are sending you those messages. It's your fault for reading them. Now, I realise if you've got like a service level agreement or something, and so you've promised you will get back to all emails within 4 hours or something, fine. But it was your fault for making that promise.
I bet half the people listening or watching now be like, no, I need my emails on because of my job, because I do this, because I do that. I need my emails on all the time.
For fear of missed opportunity. That's a huge
FOMO.
thing. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Is that what it stands for?
Is that?
No, fear of missing out, isn't it?
Fear of missing out, that is.
Yeah.
But fear of missed opportunity in terms of business owner mindset. What if that email means I'm going to lose that client? Or what if that email is an opportunity for me to sell? Well, so what? Is that the most important thing in your day? And it won't be. It won't be. When you look at the crux of whatever's going on, when you get down to the nitty gritty of what people really, really want with their lives, it isn't, I want to make sure that every client is perfectly happy with my email response time. That was never on my list.
So, but yeah, tech, for some people, being more efficient with their availability is totally out of their comfort zone. And I think we know people that can't sit and have dinner unless their phone's next to them. And I'd say, yeah, so that could be a good step for someone if they're like, right, I know I've been a bit complacent, I need to get out of my comfort zone a bit. What are the little tasks that you think, okay, I'm pretty sure I could get out of my comfort zone a little bit, and that could be checking your email twice a day. Brilliant. So start with that.
A big one at home for us is we're going to start, I think you're very good at this already, but we're only going to have dinner at the dinner table.
I'm going quiet now.
You're not very good at that.
Very good at sitting with the children when they eat, but me and Emma, it's on our laps, box setting. Just the two of us.
No phones?
No, never.
So ours is the whole, right, the living room is where we lounge around on our phones and watch Netflix or whatever. The dining room is now going to be where it's just me and Hannah catch up for the day, dinner in front of us, the rest of the world can do one.
Do you think lots of people do eat and they're there scrolling and stuff? And
I think it's just the nature of today, isn't it? You're constantly bombarded by information, whether that's communications or news or social media. And I think because, the last 4 or 5 years, most of that's become hyper-polarised shit, for want of a better phrase. It can't be good for you. It just cannot be good for you. There's websites I go to now, so my brother taught me to follow subreddits.
Right.
So that I'm just looking at positive stuff.
That's cool.
So that sometimes when I hop on my phone, the only thing I'm reading is positivity.
I think, have we done a video about that? We definitely talked about it at some point about if your day starts by listening to the news or whatever, and you're allowing every news channel under the sun to get access to you. Good news ain't going to sell newspapers, so you'll just get bombarded with shit. And if that's your mindset from the moment you wake up, the first thing you hear is about war and COVID and famine, and so if it's like, okay, don't ignore the fact that this stuff's going on, but you should choose when you listen to it and what kind of news you're exposed to.
Yeah, and I'm a bit of a drama sponge, for want of a better phrase. So today I've had a particularly first world problem type stupid day today. I woke up early this morning, so went and let the dog out, and then decided to read the news, learned all about the exam fiasco and grades and all these kids that have either got inflated grades or downgraded, or now the universities haven't got spaces and the colleges haven't got all this. And then had a glass of water, which is usual thing. Then I'd take the car for a service, but I was in a mood because I'd probably read some negative news anyway and wasn't looking forward to a car service. What a stupid start to the day. You know, I'm not going to sit here and preach and say...
But I bet most people are like that. And there'll be some people who will probably think it's weird that I have no idea what you're talking about. So something's gone wrong with exams again or something.
Oh yeah, I won't go into detail, but essentially, because nobody sat any exams this time, what they were going to do is go off predicted grades and mock exams.
Yep.
But then the initial plan was that they were then going to weight those predicted grades based on how that school or college has performed in the past.
Right.
So chances are, if you went to a poor school or college, even if you got an A star in your predicted grades, it was going to get dropped to a B.
But this is a story from a couple of weeks ago.
A-levels, GCSEs today.
Okay.
And then if you went to a successful school, which chances are it might be a private school or a sponsored school, you might have got an A, but it could be up-weighted because the school historically did better than the predicted grade said. So what's happened is there's this massive disparity between the haves and have-nots, and everyone's kicked off. And there's like examples of young people who have got top marks their entire lives, but because their school historically hasn't done well, they've been dropped.
But I thought they reversed their decision on that.
So they've reversed their decision, but the universities had already made theirs.
Oh, wow.
And so it's just a real mess.
So
and
this is why I don't listen to the news in the morning.
The rabbit hole we've just gone down there is me winding myself... I haven't even got young children. Just winding myself up about something I can do nothing about. What I should have done, which is what I did yesterday, get up, take the dog for a walk, come home, have a glass of water and look out the window, which is... I quite like staring out the window. Who knows? Read a bit of my book, come to work. And...
Yeah.
Set yourself up for the day.
But some people, I think they need to be... Like my mother-in-law, she's always saying, did you hear this in the news? Did you see that? And she's flabbergasted by the fact that most of the time I have to say, no, I don't know what you're on about. If it's to do with business, entrepreneurship, marketing, social media, and obviously COVID, I'll have a pretty good handle on it because I love reading what entrepreneurs are, how marketing's changing, whatever it might be. But otherwise, I will generally, I get my week magazine. So on a Sunday afternoon, I sit down and that's got a nice summary of what's been going on in the UK and in the world. To a certain extent, that will do me. I've got no interest in being further exposed to just stuff that's going to affect my mindset. I fall into this camp, and I know how unhealthy it is for me now. If I love to absorb all the information I can, I'm relatively politically minded, so I quite like to get involved in what's going on and really think deep about it. And then I love all the satire that comes with it. But then when you look at the compound effect of how negative all that is, and satire, although funny, is just taking the piss out of other people. It's just not good for you. Yeah, it is difficult, and that's all. There's all stuff that's to do with mindset, to do with confidence, to do with your comfort zone. That some people they just won't be able to switch off from the news. They won't be able to switch off their phones. They think their business is unique, and so they need to be accessible 24/7. And I mean, we've done that. We've been there. And to be honest, most business owners, if they start up with nothing, they have to give it their all in terms of their time. Evenings, weekends, 100 hours a week, on the phone all the time. I get that. But the simple fact is that is not sustainable. You cannot scale your business doing that. You will just burn yourself out. And we almost did.
Yeah, I'd argue. I definitely did a couple of times.
Yeah.
But... we actively pursue business owners now that don't want to be emailing us at 7 o'clock on a Friday night, because the reason they run their business is so that they're not emailing on us at 7 o'clock on a Friday night, and that's the step change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi everyone, Fergus at Codebreak. If you haven't already subscribed to our podcast, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe and be notified every time we release an episode. And remember, stay hungry.
Nice one, Fergus.
We have to stop thanking them for their ads, don't we? It's our habit now.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Anyway, I've
heard that a few times as well, that particular ad. Still cool, though. He has got dulcet tones.
He has, yeah. He sounds good. in his slightly American twang, I think.
Yeah, he's pretty cool, Fergus, with his old beard and check shirt thing going on.
Yeah, he's very Codebreak.
Yeah, good guy.
So, comfort zones, sort of pulling it back. I think
Okay.
maybe we've skirted round it. What's the scariest thing you've ever done?
In business,
Life?
scariest thing. I suppose I had a fear because I still am little, especially little when I was a kid, of I suppose physical confrontation. My parents were both pacifists
Yeah.
and turn the other cheek and all that kind of stuff. But as we talked about before, when you grow up sort of mixed race, you're going to get some shit, especially back then. So physical confrontation was a big fear for me. So when I started that sort of martial arts lesson stuff, so probably stepping on the mats in my first sort of that was very scary.
Yeah, I forgot what that felt like. That does feel bloody scary.
Yeah,
When you was it judo your first sort of?
No, grappling.
Really?
Yeah, so pretty much the same, really.
But just that whole do you bow in grappling? Is there no?
No.
So I remember obviously in judo you bow to the mat and then you bow to your opposition. And I remember that feeling the first time I did that. Particularly as an adult. As a kid, you don't care, but as an adult,
Yeah, I remember. Oh God, what's the name of the wrestler? Charles Sonnen talking about bowing in martial arts and stuff, and he must have been when he was fighting Vanderlei Silva, who's Brazilian, and so the fight was going to be in Brazil. And Charles Sonnen, brilliant guy at selling tickets. And so he was just doing whatever he could to wind up all the Brazilians. And he was saying, yeah, Brazil, it ain't a bowing culture. You bow in Brazil, they'll just hit you over the head and nick your wallet. And that fight was it one? Anyway, he was fighting somebody Brazilian. And goodness me, the UFC, I mean, they're not stupid. You keep certain people on because you've got your scientific fighters that are fantastic fighters and very clinical. But you need your characters, like wrestling, you need your characters to sell the tickets. And what are we talking about this? Bowing, yeah. Fighting, I suppose. That was, yeah. What about you?
That's interesting.
Non-business.
Oh, non-business. Well, I've had some pretty scary shit non-business happen to me, I suppose. But
Non-family.
non-family. Okay. I didn't think it was going to be scary. So one of my bucket list things was to go whitewater rafting on a proper whitewater river. So not like Barla or something. We went to Canada on a holiday when we first got together, and
this is Hannah, not me, by the way. I should say.
And part of that was we booked whitewater rafting before we went, and I was fine, really excited. And then
Hannah was up for this.
Yeah, she's like Bear Grylls. She's all good. Anyway, in the minibus driving us to the top of this valley essentially, and on the way they start doing the safety briefing. So, just to let you know, 7 people died on this river last year. Sorry, what?
Oh.
Yeah, they fell out of the rafts and got washed down river dead.
With this guy's company?
No, not with that company, but with various companies that ride this river, which made it the second deadliest river in the world last year or something. And obviously, you start to think, okay, this is pretty bloody serious. And then they said, and the worst thing that can happen when you're whitewater rafting is a thing called a flat eddy. Now, you can't predict it, but it's when the current is flowing in 2 directions at once, and if it hits the boat perfectly, it can essentially flip the boat straight over. And because the boat's the wrong way up, you can't get back in it. You're in white water.
Are you attached to the boat?
No, you tuck your feet under straps, and you've got straps to hold, and obviously you've got an oar.
What kind of boat is it? Is it like not a dinghy?
A big dinghy, yeah, basically.
So it's rubber inflatable.
Yeah,
bit,
big dinghy, and you've got like a captain or whatever they call a skipper, who's guiding and telling everyone what to do, and will tell like the left side of the boat to row or the right side of the boat to row, whatever it might be. Anyway, get in this water. It's glacier water, so it's bloody cold, and we're all petrified by this point. You're on the edge of your seat. Start to get into it, settle in. It's good fun. It's exhilarating. It's good fun. It's physically hard. And then we had a flat eddy, which the captain of the boat told that only ever happened to her once in her entire career. And the whole boat flipped up. And as I looked up, Hannah was looking down at me from the sky. And she said she'd never seen me look so scared as I was in that very moment. But fortunately, the boat levelled out and we were okay. But when we pulled up to stop, just by the reaction of the person, the expert, and what she was telling her colleagues, I realised we'd been very lucky. It was a pretty significant thing.
Why the fuck would you want to do that?
It was a good laugh. I'm a bit of a man of extremes, you know that. I pushed myself way further than I should, but I felt very, very guilty that day because I took Hannah along for the ride.
Oh, Hannah's a big girl. She'll make her own mind up.
Yeah, but
God, that's... I mean, I really want to do a parachute jump. Now, as I understand it, you've got to do a tandem. That might be wrong. I don't know. It might
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And I get personally the excitement of that, but then other people like totally feared. So when you talk about whitewater rafting, my first thought was I would never do that in a million years. Then I suppose people say that about jumping out of a plane, but it just sounds awful.
It was great fun.
Apart from nearly dying. There's a running joke here, guys, that you never go away with Joel, because literally every time he's gone on holiday, he's almost
nearly drowned on honeymoon, yeah.
Died, getting shot. I mean, it's like, goodness me, I mean, your honeymoon, you almost died twice, didn't you?
Yeah, we spun a Jeep.
You fell over.
We spun a Jeep in a storm, and I had a snorkeling panic attack, yeah.
Wow.
Came face to face with a bear in Canada, obviously the whitewater rafting incident. Yeah, we've done some cool stuff.
When I took the
That's
girls,
living.
When I took the girls to Corfu, was it last year, the year before? And we were diving off this boat, and one of the guys had an epileptic fit in the water.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And so in front of my girls, this guy was pulled like effectively lifeless out of the water, and one of the boat crew resuscitated him. Holy shit! I mean, I honestly don't think that Holly would get in a boat again. Just, I mean, this guy, he was awake by the end of it, still a bit out of it, but yeah, had his life saved. And it's like seeing stuff like that especially when you grow up in this nice, here we go, comfort zone, this nice, safe little rural bubble. You see something like that happen, and obviously all this stuff's going on all the time. It's eye opening. And in business, okay, it's not, well, very, very rarely is it life or death. But there are some things going on that, you have to make decisions that other people wouldn't.
Yeah.
And you can, I think, right, okay, well, I want a nice little business. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I don't want to recruit. I don't want much money. I'm just happy being my boss. That's fine. This podcast ain't going to be for you. But if you do want to grow, and if you do want a business to leave or to your loved ones or to sell, then you'll be very, very lucky if you can achieve what you want to achieve by staying safe all the time.
Yeah. There'll be a level of risk, whether that's your time investment, so it's a risk on your personal life, financial investment, so it's a risk on your finances and then on your personal life, or there'll be things that you have to learn how to do that you probably initially feel are beyond your capability.
So apart from like obviously searching out and reading the right books, listening to the right podcasts and stuff, what are sort of some of the top tips about, right, okay, Andy and Joel, sounds like they know what they're on about. I need to get out of my comfort zone every now and then. How do I do it?
How do I start? Choose something slightly outside your comfort zone. I mean, for me...
So like the email thing?
Yeah, so a good one for me is weightlifting. So don't particularly like public exercise. Not the biggest fan at the gym in terms of...
You don't admire your six-pack in the mirror.
But I love the idea of challenging myself to lift more next week than I did this week.
When will you be happy?
Well, my coach is very good in the sense that he says it's not just about how much you can lift, it's about how well you can lift it. So there's various points where he stops me from lifting any more.
Right.
Until I can lift it perfectly.
What are you deadlifting at the moment?
I can pull about 220.
220. Wow. How many reps? Was that your 1 rep max?
No, I could pull 220 for about 3.
Bloody hell.
But
that's serious weight.
I could sort of comfortably rep about 150. So pull out, 10 to 12 reps of 150.
So when you hit you say your 1 rep max is 230, right?
Yeah.
And you hit, right, okay, I'll go for 235. When are you happy, or is that fear?
So,
or do you have a fear of plateauing?
My coach has never let me push myself to my max.
Right.
Because he's all about technique. And to be fair, when I first visited him, it was about injury prevention. So I'd sore hips, sore knees. And it was like, right, we're going to build up your core strength, build up your leg strength so that these kind of things don't bother you anymore. So he's never, ever going to say, go in the gym and pull your 1 rep max, because I guess from his perspective, he's a strength and conditioning coach. That's where people hurt themselves. And I'm never going to be in competition or something. I'm competing with myself for...
So next week, will you be lifting heavier weights than you are this week?
Probably not, because he's not happy that my technique's right now.
Okay, that's good.
So, things like once you get to those level of weights, it really starts to mess your hands up. So you have to let the calluses build up before
don't you have the old gloves?
He's a bit anti-gloves.
So you use chalk then?
A little bit of chalk and a lot of pain, yeah. So,
oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so...
Blimey, that's good. Yeah, because I never used to wear the gloves, but I struggled to get my wedding ring off and to pull with that on. So I've
literally could put your finger off.
So I bought all those little gloves. I don't really like wearing because they look a bit.
I wear the gloves in the gym, but not with the coach.
Don't wear them to the office and stuff.
Well, you could go like full 80s with it, get a red leather jacket.
Although we used to have someone who worked for us who used to sit there in fingerless gloves when she was cold, and yeah,
that used to kill you, didn't it?
That takes me back to a bad place. Well, it just felt like I was working the Christmas Carol. So
please, can I have some more?
Fuck off, Tiny Tim.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure Charles Dickens didn't write that. But yeah, okay.
That was the end, wasn't it?
Right, so comfort zone,
little
weights,
tips,
right.
yeah. So,
little
what,
things.
Little things. So it could be pushing yourself to do a little bit more in the gym each week, or it could be really simple things like.
So are you saying then? And this is what David Goggins says, that I'm a bit obsessed by. If you want to get out your comfort zone in business, a good place to start could be getting out your comfort zone
in life.
Personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
And you touched on one before. Don't take your mobile phone to bed.
I've never done that.
But so many people, their mobile phone is their comfort blanket. Don't take your mobile phone to bed. I bet you find it hard. Most people would find that hard for the first week or so. But it's a good way of testing your comfort zone with something you know isn't going to hurt you. Or go for a walk every day, rain or shine. So loads of people are good at fair weather exercise.
You'll have to do that now with the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you, I've been out, in the pouring rain, snow. It's like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
But they're happy.
But genuinely, loads of people are good at fair weather exercise. You get them out in winter.
Oh, beginning of lockdown. So all these people running through the village. It's like, who the hell are you? Never seen you in all the years. But it's like, oh, well, they're exercising. That's good. And yeah, a month or so in, never see them now.
Well, yeah, we've got a dog walking field in our village, which is nice. All fenced in. We're the only people in it.
Wow.
Loads of dogs in our village, so where are they going?
So, we talk about exercise already, really, but how important is, in everything we're talking about, comfort zones, mindset, can you physically not look after yourself? I'm not talking about if you've got a health issue or a disease, infection, anything like that, but do you have to look after your physical health to have a good, positive mindset?
Yes. And,
cool.
I'm not in the best shape, but I do exercise a lot. And generally a balanced diet. And it helps tremendously. So
Brad Burton comes out, like we can be a bit divisive. There are a few people out there who don't like us, the Philistines. But I'd probably never be as brave as someone like Brad Burton, who will come out and say something direct. So one of the other things is he'll say, no one trusts a fat motivational speaker. So he's done a lot. He's lost a load of weight. I don't know whether you can reverse diabetes, but he's certainly addressed it, and his blood sugar's good now through diet and exercise. But he says if he's out there trying to motivate people on stage in front of hundreds of people, and he was sort of like horrendously overweight, it's like, well, they're just not going to. Their first thought is going to be negative. Their first impression of me, and I've lost them from that point. So there are probably other ways to say it, but he'll come out and say, yeah, no one trusts a fat motivational speaker.
Yeah. Do you think that's negative?
So he could say, he could be even more direct, I suppose.
So,
but he could say, don't trust a fat motivational speaker. That would be very direct, but he says
nobody does.
No one.
Because today's society, you're judged for being overweight.
The use of the word fat is straight away you're gonna piss some people off.
But so 300 years ago, you were considered.
When I was born,
no, you were considered to be wealthy and prosperous if you were overweight. Where in today's society, and if you were pale, it meant you hadn't been out in the sun, so therefore you didn't work in a field or whatever. In today's society, it's the opposite, isn't it? You're meant to be ripped and tanned, and
I'm one of those.
But do you see what I mean? I wonder if because Brad Burton's got some brilliant stuff to say. Mm-hmm. And I've consumed quite a bit of his content and stuff.
Yeah, no, we started a business pretty much the same time. So I remember him chatting with him in 2006. He was launching 4N. I was launching one of my businesses, and we're still sort of in touch now. And yes, I followed him closely, and he's got his tribe, and he's got a lot of people that don't like him. And
he's okay with that.
Yeah, same with Rob Moore. He's like, well, no matter what you do, right? If you're going to be loud, and let's face it, if you want to market your business, you have to be out there. There are going to be people that don't like you, so you might as well be your bloody self.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
because, and this is something that I've had to learn quite recently, really. Even when you're doing the whole thing of trying to keep everybody happy and all the people pleasing and the over servicing and the midnight emails and all of that, still people won't like you.
Yeah.
So why bother? And I don't mean why. Provide a good service, but just be yourself. And the only thing you need to be comfortable with, and it is outside my comfort zone, is people will fire shots at you.
Kim Constable.
If you're louder with who you are.
Yeah, Kim Constable, the sculpted vegan. Oh my God, she gets so much shit. Now she'll go on about how much it doesn't bother, but she goes on about it quite a lot. So maybe it does bother her. But actually, that Jordan Belfort podcast I was listening to the other day, he said every now and then someone will still get through his skin a comment he'll read on social that will cut him, whereas 99% of it he's pretty much immune to. But we take it personally. If someone,
of course.
But I'm doing my best to train myself not to worry about other people's opinion. Now, if someone's super successful who I respect has a go at me, I need to listen to that. But if someone unsuccessful or just a cock, a troll, says something, I need to be better at compartmentalising them. And right, they've said that, that's their opinion, fuck off. I need to focus on growing the business, looking after my family, looking after my team.
Yeah. I think for me, from a self-awareness perspective, which I guess that's what this podcast is about, isn't it? Personal mindset.
Allegedly.
We go everywhere. But
we were talking about weightlifting a minute ago.
If you have a bad night's sleep, or you have bad breakfast, or you have a disagreement in the morning, or whatever it might be, chances are those nasty comments or people questioning your ability or people questioning your service will affect you more than if you've had a good night's sleep and been for a walk or been to the gym.
That's why I have to exercise first thing, because that just sets you up. Like you say, that, well, for me anyway, it almost strengthens that protective bubble around you to better deal with shit. Whereas if I know I should have gone for a run but couldn't be asked, I will probably be more susceptible if someone does fire a shot.
Yeah.
That's right. So physical exercise, you basically say it's good to do.
Yeah, load up the endorphins. That's what I'm saying. And
that will help you get out of your comfort zone once in a while.
I think it makes your comfort zone a bit bigger. That would be, there's...
Yeah, what do people say? Like, even if you run 100 metres, you're still beating everyone who sat on the couch.
Yeah.
And just do a little bit. Like the compound effect, we probably mention that book every podcast we do. But if you want to truly understand the power of little things done consistently, read that book. So even if you start off by doing a little walk, like you say, a day, or a little run, or lifting little weights, you're doing more than 80% of your competitors.
Sorry, an ambulance just pulled up outside and it distracted me. The compound effect for me had a fairly significant effect on how I operate, in terms of one of the things it taught me was to always make the bed in the morning as soon as you get out. So something I do, whether Hannah's there or not, I'll always make the bed properly and do a good job of it before I start my day, because it's a good habit to get into, and to know, right, it doesn't matter how bad the day is now, when I get home, I'll be getting home to a nicely made bed. And
I think that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And you need to tell that to my daughters. But yeah, we mentioned that YouTube clip the other day. Some US naval commander talks about the importance of making your bed.
Yeah.
I must go and Google and watch that again actually and share it with the team. But yeah, to start the day right, like I say, if you start the day listening to negativity, or you have a big bust up with your partner, you don't do any exercise, whatever, like all that stuff will make you probably less likely to want to get out of your comfort zone because you've already dealt with so much shit.
Yeah. And so is the other side of this as well, that if you're the sort of person, because there'll be lots of people listening to this, chances are if they listen to this, they spend quite a lot of time outside their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And you fall into this category of almost a little bit uncomfortable in your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah. I'm very comfortable for short periods of time.
Yeah.
But anything more than a short period of time, I do get uncomfortable, and I think, what are my competitors doing? Are clients being looked after? Have I made the till ring? I'll start asking all those kind of questions. But to be honest, now it's got to the point where I like being out of my comfort zone, but I know where to draw the line because, I've got my Breathe app. I suppose I don't suffer with any kind of sort of touch wood mental or physical health problems, but I'm very aware of what will start winding me up and when I need to, because there's a difference between being focused and, I suppose, blunt.
Yeah.
If I'm blunt with someone, that doesn't mean I'm angry. It means I'm focusing on something and I just need to get it done, and our clients pay us a decent amount of money to demand that attention. But if I'm too long out of my comfort zone and that sort of tenseness escalates, that's just not good conducive. But I am much better now at knowing when that's coming. Right, I'm going to, just go and walk with the kids, walk with the dogs, go for a run.
Yeah.
Or just, I mean, I know the cinemas are back open, not that I've been yet, but that was wonderful for me before lockdown. I'd quite happily go to the cinema on my own. And, usually there's a film out that the kids aren't interested in seeing. And I'll just go, turn my phone off, turn my watch off, get a Starbucks in the foyer, go up and watch a film. Wonderful. That's
my plan with Tenet next week.
Chris Evans talking this morning about I couldn't work out whether it was a new film or series. Jordan Peele's involved, some sci-fi.
Really?
It's literally just come out.
Oh, I don't know.
I have to...
that sounds good, because he doesn't make a bad film, does he? So
is Tenet the...
Tenet's Christopher Nolan.
Russell Crowe? What's the Russell Crowe one?
No, not Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe's just done an action film that's had quite bad reviews, hasn't he?
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Tenet's the, I think it's going to be about some sort of time reversal thing. Don't know.
Oh, so this isn't the Jordan Peele one?
No, Jordan Peele one.
It might be a series, I'm pretty sure, literally, I'm talking like it dropped yesterday. But it could be a film, it could be something on Netflix, I don't know.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, nice one, Andy.
Did you watch his second film?
Cool story.
Us?
I haven't seen Us or Get Out.
Oh, I totally got that wrong then. I thought you were a big Jordan Peele fan.
I know that they're good.
Oh, but they're both, or they certainly both were on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. So what else then? Physical exercise, that's a good way to start getting out your comfort zone, limiting your use of technology.
Reading.
Got to be willing to. Yeah.
But
do you know people who just would refuse to do? They just no, don't need to learn anything. You told me I need to get out of my comfort zone. Okay, I'll do it, but they won't invest or dig further in how to do it.
Yeah, I think you probably have to shift your perspective on that. So, we know loads of people. You come across them in business all the time that can't be taught anything. They're just not willing to learn. But the more you read about other people that go outside their comfort zones or other people that achieve amazing things, the more achievable those things feel to you.
Let's rewind a little bit there, because that's a really interesting point. These people who aren't for changing. This lady's not for turning. Could you turn that lady? Or is like, no, they're in their mid-30s now. Their mind's made up. I'm not going to waste my time trying to convince them how important this is.
I don't think us as a marketing agency would try to, because it costs us too much, basically. But I think those sort of people probably can learn, as can anybody else. They just wouldn't admit that they'd learned anything. They'd say something like, "Oh, I already knew that."
Yeah, with our consultancy clients, it's something that I think we're pretty good at identifying before we accept to work with them, because consultancy is about sharing best practice and best advice. And if someone doesn't listen to that advice, well, you're wasting your money. So we've got to identify that early on. I think we're pretty good at that.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I think it doesn't matter whether you think you can learn or not. Reading about other people that have achieved stuff, whether it's your sporting heroes, your music heroes, business people, people military, people that have survived abuse, all these things, it just broadens your horizons that little bit. It allows you to think what's possible outside of your bubble. And particularly if you live somewhere like rural Shropshire, you're probably not exposed to many success stories. You know, we haven't got that many local heroes. In Shrewsbury, we talk about Charles Darwin. That was 200 years ago. So it's sort of...
Yeah.
It's
essentially about sports, isn't it? Because, you know, we will follow and read a lot about sports people. And they certainly have to get out of their comfort zones.
Yeah.
Right, they've practiced for 1 hour. I'm going to practice for 1 hour, 5 minutes. I'm going to, you know, there's very few off days. And it's that pushing, that drive. I mean, we talked about Olympians before. Could you imagine working your arse off for 4 years, and then I know you could get injured or you lose that race?
This year,
okay, I've got to train for another 4 years.
Can you imagine training for 4 years and then it being cancelled?
That mindset. It's like, generally speaking, if there's some reality TV competition and one or more of the contestants are sports people, I'd say generally speaking the sports people win.
Hi, Emily at Codebreak. I just wanted to check if you've booked your discovery call with Andy or Joel yet. It's a free 20-minute chat to talk about your goals and how we can help you achieve them. Visit codebreak.co.uk to book.
You touched on something there. So David Beckham, we've mentioned him on the podcast before, but he would train with the rest of the team and then he'd spend an hour practicing free kicks after training. Now that hour, I would suggest, was outside of his comfort zone, but he knew it was something he should do to further his... he speaks about it himself. He doesn't think he was technically one of the best footballers in his age group, but he practiced more than anybody else. And therefore, you know, his trademark crossing ability, free kicks, corners, made up for his technical inefficiencies. Now, I think that's a bit unfair because at his peak, I would argue he was unbelievable. But
absolutely. But I remember, obviously he got sent off in the '98 World Cup, and literally people were hanging effigies of him.
Yeah.
And then he went on to have the best season ever at Manchester United. And you think, shit, I mean, you know, people were saying he was thick or stupid or lucky or whatever. It's like, oh my God, this guy's worked bloody hard, not just physically, but emotionally, to bounce back from that. Literally, the entire country hated you. You came back and had to have the best domestic season you ever had. It's amazing.
And they based his intellect on his voice. Clearly a very intelligent man.
And he married a Spice Girl, and they're both, well, as far as I can see,
very successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah, their marriage has lasted a lot longer than the most celebrity marriages. And yeah, I think he's brilliant. Hats off to him. I think, you know, we talked about this before. In the UK, there can be a bit of almost a tradition to someone who's successful. Oh, I'd almost like to see them get knocked off the pedestal.
Anthony Joshua has gone through that recently, so I would assume most people listening would know Anthony Joshua is one of the heavyweight champions.
Didn't you work on his branding once upon a time, Joel?
Yeah, let's not. He was very celebrated, and you know, he was the golden boy of the Olympics, and then went on to become heavyweight champion. But because of British culture, when he lost
to the
Andy Ruiz, the Mexican guy, the media in this country and then the people that follow the media made far more noise about him losing and being knocked off his pedestal than they did about him being an undefeated champion prior to that. And that's another reason why you should perhaps avoid some of that negativity. And also, just how difficult is it for somebody like that who... He turned his life around, you know, he was on the verge of being a bit of a down and out. Used boxing, which I'm fairly sure getting punched in the face is outside of most people's comfort zone. Used it as a tool to achieve something that perhaps if he'd have taken any other direction, he wouldn't have achieved it.
Yeah, so it's just, I'd say probably half the reading I'm doing at the moment is sport and biographies. I love reading entrepreneur biographies, but we've talked about Arnie's biography. So just because someone is an actor, some kind of celebrity, don't go thinking there aren't messages there about determination, about grit, about doing what your competitors won't do and applying it to business.
Arnie's biography would, I think, shock most people.
His work ethic, I mean, wow. Even now, this was back in the late 60s, I think.
Enroll in 3 colleges so that he could get the most out of his time in between working out.
Well, I think, yeah, because he was an immigrant, back then in California, you were only allowed, let's say 10 hours, you're only allowed to go to college for 10 hours a week because he wanted to improve his English, learn about business and stuff. So I think most people say, all right, well, I'll do my 10 hours then. He enrolled in 3 or 4. So he could do 10 hours at each one, and then he'd do his nutrition supplements at Business You on launch, and then he'd work out, and then he'd invest in property. And it's like, oh my God. It's just, amazing story about work ethic.
Sleeping on the floor and investing in his future.
There's a good short video on YouTube. It's like Arnie's 5 rules or something. He's talking at some college or something, and he gives his 5 top tips for success. And one of them is sleep for 7 hours. So you've all, you can't survive on 2 hours sleep a night. Do you need all 8? Well, no, but ideally have more than 6. So he sleeps for 7. So straight away you've already got an hour on your competitor. So it's little things like that, and he shares his advice. And I mean, I've been doing 7 hours sleep for 3 months now, trying to get up and do, and touch wood. Don't think I've been any maybe slightly more miserable.
No comment.
So it's like, what can I do? And I'm a little bit. Actually, my next Marketing Monday email that I'm working on at the moment is about when you're looking at your competitors, and especially if they're in the rear view mirror. Why are you looking at them? Forward focus.
Yeah.
Look what's ahead of you. And think, what's your goal? What you're trying to achieve? Don't worry about the people in your room.
Our mentor said something about that yesterday, and you noted it down.
That could have been where I got it from. Obviously, be aware of what your competitors are doing, but also, right, what will I do that they won't do? How do I start my? And I think the start of the day is so important in all aspects of business mindset success. For you to come to the office or open your laptop at home, wherever you work, and to know I'm already ahead of my competitors. It's wonderful, and like you say, that will protect you more against the shots that get fired. It will maybe help you stay out of your comfort zone a little bit longer than last week, and it's just great. But I think if you're like, because let's face it, we know marketing consultants whose plan is to get up as late as possible. I'm not saying there's anything wrong in that, but if you want to get up at 8:30, roll out of bed to start work at 9, go ahead. That's great. But generally speaking, for people running a business, I'd probably question whether that's going to work the best for you to help you reach your goals.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Really enjoyed that. Hope this is helping to be. Any feedback, lucky. I mean, we're lucky you got good.
As long as it's positive feedback, because I'm not that thick-skinned.
We've just been talking about how thick-skinned we are. It's great to have hit some real milestones with our podcast. We've got some really. We can't give it away yet. We've got some hugely exciting guests stateside coming to be on our podcast.
Yeah.
So keep your ears peeled for that. Exciting times ahead.
Nice one, Andy.